Good afternoon all. Today we'll discuss some topics regarding requirements of an entrepreneur. Okay. So, what are the requirements of an entrepreneur? So, if you consider, entrepreneur is a person who is going to participate actively in the business, and also he is going to require some elements to start a business. Let me discuss what are the requirements of an entrepreneur to start a business. So first one it is product selection, site selection, technology selection, raw materials, machinery and equipment, institution support, financial support, and marketing assistance. So Government of India has promoted a number of self-employment schemes to encourage the upcoming entrepreneurs for setting up small-scale units throughout the country. As an entrepreneur is just educated and untrained person in the field of business, he needs sufficient technical, financial, managerial, and marketing assistance for selecting and promoting the goods, products, and services. Before an entrepreneur starts his small scale industry, there are several requirements to be satisfied by him. So, what are the basic requirements? How to acquire them? What are the facilities available in India? Who can satisfy these requirements? Let me discuss all these points in the in this session. So, first is product selection. The requirements of an entrepreneur are product selection, site selection, technology selection, raw materials, machinery and equipment, institution support, financial support, and marketing assistance. Okay. So let me discuss. First one is product selection. The success of any business largely depends upon its products. The products to be selected for a long time to come satisfies consumers' requirements. The product selected should match the changes in the environment, technology, and generation. Product selection can be done through any one of the following methods. They are market survey for existing products, information from small scale industries, small institutes, and district industrial industries, corporate sector, and entrepreneurs innovation. Okay. So market survey for existing products. Let me tell what is market survey for existing products. A market survey is conducted to estimate local demand within state or country, export market, and future prospectus for existing products and services by visiting to wholesale and retail markets, bulk consumers, etc. by an entrepreneur. This study will give a clear idea about product demand, consumption, and availability pattern. If there is a gap in demand and supply, the activity considered ideal for selection. And then coming to the next method, that is information from SISI and DISs. Market information may be available with these institutes, that is SISI and DISs. SIDC and TPDC, that is Product Planning and Development Centers of respective states and areas. The entrepreneurs can approach them for product selection. And then coming to the next method, entrepreneurs innovation. Some creative and intelligent entrepreneurs may come up with good ideas for developing new products or services. So apart from the above methods, an entrepreneur should consider the following factors before selecting a product. They are availability of raw materials and labor, availability of machinery and equipment, whether the product can be manufactured in small scale or large scale, capital required and capacity of the entrepreneur, the assistance programs extended by SISA and DICs, marketing assistance and guidance provided by SSIDO, competition from other producers whether present conditions are favorable or not, and existing demand of product and product sale position in the market. Next, coming to the next one. So next requirement is site selection or plant location. So what are the factors? What factors you have to consider while selecting a site? So let me tell there, availability of raw materials and availability of raw materials is the most important factor in plant location decisions. And then the plant location should be near to the market so that it make easy to transport it, make easy to transport the materials from uh, industry to the market, and availability of labor. So availability of labor, see here, first let me tell what is a plant here. So plant is a place where men, materials, money, equipment, machinery, etc. are brought together for manufacturing products. Selection of a place or site for locating a plant is one of the most important problems which is faced by an entrepreneur while starting a new venture. The object of maximizing profits through minimizing the cost of production can be achieved only when the plant of a right size at a right place where economies of all kinds in production are available. From this point of view, the decision of location of a plant is very important because it affects the profitability of the concern. The site may be village, suburban, or city site. In general, a city site is preferable for small plants, village site is preferable for large industries, and suburban sites are preferable for medium-sized industries. So let me tell some factors which are to considered while selecting a site. Number one is availability of raw materials. Availability of raw materials is the most important factor in plant location decisions. So if the raw materials are available near to the site, it will reduce the cost of transportation of them from the supply to the plant. It also ensures the regular and uninterrupted supply, reduce the cost of storage, cost of inventory, and hence reduce the cost of final product. And second thing, second point it is nearness to the market. It reduces the cost of transportation as well as the chances of finished products getting damaged and spoiled in the way. Moreover, a plant being nearer to the market can catch a big share of the market and can render quick services to the customer. So, next one is availability of labor. The factory should be located nearer to the place where skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled labor of adequate size and at reasonable rates with proper attitude towards work are available. The purpose of the management is to face less boycotts, strikes or lockouts and achieve lower labor costs per unit of production. Then transportation facilities. A lot of money is spent both in transporting the raw material and the finished goods. Depending upon the size of raw material and finished goods, a suitable method of transportation like roads, rail, water or air is selected and accordingly the plant location is decided. One point should be kept in mind that the cost of transportation should remain fairly small in proportion to the total cost. And next one is availability of fuel and power. It should be located, the plant should be located nearer to the source of power and fuel where they are cheap and provided with uninterrupted supply. Next, availability of water. Water is used for processing as in paper and chemical industries and is also required for drinking and sanitary purposes. Depending upon the nature of plant, water should be available in adequate quantity and should be of proper quality, that is clean and pure. A chemical industry should not be set up a location which is famous for water shortage. Then regarding climatic conditions, climatic and atmospheric conditions, the factory should be located at a place to suit particular climate for a particular product. For example, textile and jute industries are located at a place where humid atmosphere is present, example Bombay. Okay? Then localization. Moving on to the next slide. Localization. Some of the products will have good market when they are located at a place which has got reputation for its quality products. Then commercial facilities. Then the industry should be located at a place where banking facilities are available as finance is very important factor in business. Then communication facilities. So it should be provided with good communication facilities to other locations for their promotion. For example, postal, telephone, internet, fax, all these facilities should be provided with the existing plant location. And next one is away from enemy attack. Industries should not be located at the border states of the country because of possibility of attacking by neighboring countries. And also, we are, another factors which are going to play in the plant location are local laws and government policies, presence of related industries, housing facilities, and also existence of hospitals, schools, etc. Then moving on to the next factor, it is plant layout. So what is a plant layout? Plant layout is the most effective physical arrangement either existing or in plans of industrial facilities, that is arrangement of machines, processing equipment and service departments to achieve greatest coordination and efficiency of 4Ms, that is men, materials, machine and methods in a plant. So after the site has been selected, the next step is to make a suitable layout, that is plant layout. Plant layout it also depends as an arrangement of machines within a factory so that each operation is performed at the point of greatest convenience. Plant layout may also be defined as a technique of locating different machines and plant services within the factory so that the greatest possible of output of high quality at the lowest possible total cost can be available. Best planning of factory layout for constant operating efficiency is a difficult work and needs a good deal of experience. Some of the plans which appear quite alright from the drawing often fail when put in actual practice. Plant layout should be flexible for future changes in management policies and also techniques or production. Let me tell some objectives of plant layout. So, a properly planned plant layout aims at achieving the following objectives. They are to achieve economies in handling of raw material, that is working process and finished goods, to reduce the quantum of work in progress, to have more effective and optimum utilization of available floor space. Mainly, it is going to save the floor space, minimizes the material handling and transportation, and next one, to utilize the floor space economically, leaving sufficiently space for movement of men and materials. Here the floor stays cubically arranged. The- and also to produce better quality products with minimum cost. To provide better working conditions for both executive and operative employees. To minimize production delays and to have proper production control. To minimize accidents and also to have safety on to have safety for workers, to have space for future expansion, and also to minimize the backtracking of materials, to have good appearance, to have good appearance, look neat and clean for the factory building, to reduce the waiting time for semi-finished products. So for these objectives, we need to have a plant layout. So this is an example of plant layout. We observe, see here, this is for rail siding, tank form, and it is for expansion, plant area 2. Here this fire station, emergency water, stores, workshops, laboratory, canteen, chain house, offices, plant utilities, and here these are roads to move the transporting the material to and from the plant area 1 expansion. See here. Actually, this is the required area for the plant, and they also give the layout for a future expansion of this plant 1. And similarly, here also this is the expansion area for plant 2. Okay. Let me tell what are the factors affecting the plant layout. So while making layout for any kind of factory, the following factors are taken into account. The first one is material factor. This includes raw material, in process, finished goods, scrap tools, etc. The main considerations are type of products, characteristics of various materials, quantity and variety of products. And second one is machine factor. This includes various machines and equipment. The main considerations are type of machinery, tools and equipment, machine utilization and maintenance, and replacement of their parts. Then man factor. Man is very flexible element. The main considerations are manpower requirements, safety and working conditions, and utilization of man. Then movement factor. It mainly deals with the movement of men and materials, namely interdepartmental movements and short movements. The considerations are flow patterns, movement of men, incoming and outgoing materials, reducing unnecessary and uneconomical movements. And next one is waiting factor. Whenever the worker stops the work, waiting occurs, which costs money tied up in the idle materials. Handling cost in waiting area, etc. The main considerations are location of storage and delay points, designing of material, waiting space, method of storage, and its safeguard. Then change factor. This includes flexibility and expandability of the machinery. Next one is service factor. This includes employee facilities, fire protection, lighting, and ventilation. They may relate to men, materials, and machinery. And next one is building factor. This includes outside and inside building features, type of building, and height of building, which can accommodate required machinery. Analysis of handling methods. The handling methods depends upon the characteristics of materials, quantity and place of movement and type of handling equipment, condition of route and frequency of movements. And other factors which are considered as manufacture, volume of production, type of product, etc. So, not only these factors, some principles of plant layout are also there. So, there are 6 basic principles of best layout. They are principle of overall integration. According to this principle, the best layout is one which integrates the men, material, machinery, supporting activities, and any other such factors. Then second one is principle of minimum distance. According to this principle, other things being equal, the best layout is one in which men and materials have to move the minimum distance between operations. Then third one is principle of flow. Flow means the system to be adopted for the movement of raw materials from the beginning and up to the end of the manufacturing. According to this principle, other things being equal, the best layout is one which arranges the work area for each operation of process in the same order or sequence that forms, treats or assembles the materials. Then fourth one, principle of cubic space. According to this, the best layout is one which all the available space, both vertical and horizontal, is most economically and effectively used. And fifth one, principle of satisfaction and safety. According to this, other things being equal, the best layout is one which makes satisfying, pleasant, and safer for workers. Then sixth one, principle of flexibility. It means the best layout is one which can be adapted and rearranged at a minimum cost and with least inconvenience. So these are the some principles which we have to follow regarding the plant layout. And coming to the types of plant layout, we are going to have 4 types: product or line layout, process or functional layout, fixed position layout, and combinational layout. Then what is another requirement for see here we have seen the product selection, site selection, and technology selection, raw materials. Okay, so see here the raw materials are required by an entrepreneur before he starts the production. The raw materials required by him can be purchased in the open market or imported from other sources, or the scarce raw material can be purchased with the recommendations of DIC, APSS, IDC with consultation of Department of Industries. However, any dangerous or banned raw materials can be procured with special permission from governments like molasses, cyanide, disposable items, and any drugs, etc. Then coming to the machinery and equipment. So for any industry, the rate of production and the quality of product highly depends upon the type of machinery and equipment used for the production. The machinery required by an entrepreneur can be purchased from the supplier on direct payment or can be imported from outside or can be purchased by taking loan from the financial institutions. NSIC and APSS IDC are the two institutions which provide loan for the purchasement of machinery. Further, NSIC helps an entrepreneur to get machinery on hire purchase system and also provide training on the machinery. DICs also help the entrepreneur in purchasing the machinery and also provide the subsidy. And then regarding financial support. Financial and institutional support. The institutional support needed are Generally, for entrepreneur, uh, there are national level institutions and state level institutions which can support the entrepreneur to start the business. And regarding financial support or assistance is the most important requirement of an entrepreneur. The required finance is provided by a number of industrial development banks, commercial banks, investment corporations, etc. They will provide finance for purchasing raw materials, machinery and equipment, construction of factory premises, and as working capital for new entrepreneurs and for expansion or modernization of existing enterprises. These finance corporations offer several schemes as number one, bills free discounting scheme. Number two, refinance scheme for rehabilitation and modernization of small enterprise. Third one is seed capital scheme. Fourth one, soft loan scheme and then working capital scheme and special finance scheme for artisans, SC, ST, physically handicapped and women entrepreneurs. Then coming to the marketing assistance, whatever may be the successful efforts in the production of goods and a small scale industry, marketing the goods is the very crucial problem. Unless there is proper marketing for the product, the process of production is waste. Hence, to encourage the entrepreneur, the government has to provide many incentives and concessions for the products of the small scale industries. So the marketing assistance is provided to an entrepreneur in the following ways. Number one, purchase preference policy. This includes purchase of SSI products by all the government departments as General Supplies Department. Number two, price preference policy. This includes reservation of certain products for exclusive purchase from the small scale sector and price preference up to 15% in case of selected items. And the third one, single point registration scheme. Single point registration scheme of NSIC was launched as a market measure for SSI sector. Under this scheme, the following benefits are given to the SSI units which get themselves registered with the NSIC. So NSIC is nothing but National Small Industries Corporation. So let me tell that benefits. Availability of tender sets free of cost, exemption from payment of earnest money deposit, exemption from payment of security deposit, price preference up to 15% over the lowest quotation of the large scale units, exemption from excise duty of SSI units producing branded goods in local areas, SISI and NSIC. These help the small scale enterprise for exhibiting products of SSI in the domestic and international exhibitions. Khadi and Village Industries Commission conducts trade fair exhibition and industrial exhibitions for promoting the products produced under SSI in villages and rural areas. State government of Andhra Pradesh conducts exhibitions at major cities of AP to promote the artisans, handicrafts, handlooms, and textile products under SSI. Example: Shilparamam Vakra stands for Development of Women and Children in Rural Areas, bazaars, handloom exhibitions, handicrafts exhibitions, etc. They also conduct foreign exhibition to transfer the products outside the country. So these are all the requirements of an entrepreneur to start the business. Okay, let me repeat once again. Once you have a look on the slide once again. So product selection is nothing but it can be done it can be done through any one of the following methods. They are market survey for existing products, information from SASI and DACs, entrepreneurs innovation. Then site selection or plant location. The factors to be considered while selecting a site are primary factors. These are the primary factors. Availability of raw materials. Availability of raw materials is the most important factor in the plant location decisions. Nearness to the market. Availability of labor. Transport facilities. Availability of fuel and power. Availability of water. Suitability of climate and government policies. Once have a look on the slide. Not only this, still many factors are there for selecting the plant location, localization, commercial facilities, communication facilities, away from enemy attack, local laws and government policy, presence of related industries, housing facilities, existence of hospitals, schools, etc. I will look on this slide also. This continues of previous slide. Then coming to the next one, plant layout. Is most effective physical arrangement as the existing or in plans of industrial facilities, there is arrangement of machines, processing equipment, and service departments to achieve greatest coordination and efficiency of 4Ms. What are the 4Ms? Materials, men, machines, and methods in a plant. Then coming to the objectives. So mainly to reduce the quantum of progress, to have most effective and optimum utilization of available floor space, and also to achieve economies in handling of raw materials, working progress, and finished goods. Then moving on to another So this is an example of plant layout. You have to give the plant layout in such a way that where it is going to have the space for fire station, emergency water stores, workshops, labs, canteen, change house, offices, plant utilities, and also plant area with the expansion, future expansion. And this is pipe bridge, tank foam. This is rail siding and it is roads. In order to transport the material to the plant and also from the plant. Then factors affecting plant layout. Material factors, machine factors, man factor, moment factor, waiting factor, change factor, service factor, building factor, analysis of handling methods and other factors. So all these affect the plant layout. These are some of the factors which are going to affect the plant layout. Let's have a look on this slide also. Go through these points. So there are 6 principles of plant layout. Principle in overall integration, principle in minimum distance, principle of minimum distance, principle of flow, principle of cubic space, principle of satisfaction and safety, principle of flexibility. And coming to the types of plant layouts, product and plant layout, process or function layout, fixed position layout, combination layout. So regarding raw materials requirement, with the recommendations of DIC and APSS IDC, we can able to we can able to gather the raw materials to various departments of industries. And regarding machinery and equipment, NSIC and APSS IDC are the two institutions which provide loan for the purchasement of machinery and equipment. And regarding financial assistance, you are going to have some institutions, SIDBI, NSIC, IFCI, ICICI, NABARD, LIC, NTI, APSFC, and commercial bank. These are the institutions which are going to offer the financial assistance to the entrepreneur. And coming to the marketing assistance. SI and NSIC help the small scale enterprise for exhibiting the products of SSI in the domestic and the internet exhibitions. So once you go through this once again, Requirements of an entrepreneur are product selection, site selection, technology selection, raw materials, machinery and equipment, institutional support, financial support, and marketing assistance. So with this, I am going to stop my session. Thank you, one and all.